REMSCO meeting. Have people stand for Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If people could stay standing for a moment, we'd like to have a moment of silence for Steve Cornell. Steve was a provider in our region and recently passed away. Very dedicated to Spring Fling. He was a Spring Fling this year. He got released from the hospital like 2 that morning and still came to Spring Fling. So a moment of silence in Steve's memory, please. Thank you. Review of previous minutes and approval. Raleigh makes a motion to approve them, seconded by Ron Hans. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? So carried. Treasurer's report, Dave Allen sent it out earlier today. Did anybody have any questions on that? Bobby Simpson makes a motion to accept the treasurer's report. Do we have a second? Seconded by Carol. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
I will abstain.
Enforcement, I'm sorry, Ron.
I will abstain because I've not been given a chance to look at it.
Okay.
By emailing it the same day when I'm on the road.
Yep, understood. Nothing under the enforcements list, other correspondence dated June 2nd. Please accept my resignation from REMSCO. I am now retired and will no longer be active in the EMS field. I feel that it is time for someone who is currently working in EMS to fill this seat. It has been a great opportunity and privilege to have been part of this organization and see the evolution of EMS over the past 40 plus years. What strides have been made. With the current group of dedicated members, those positive changes will continue. Best wishes, Mary Kleinhans.
She's been here a long time.
She was, I believe she was on the original. No?
No.
No, she came later. 4 or 5 years later.
Other correspondence, I don't have any. Does anybody else have any? We did adopt the new bylaws last month, but we did have one person that was in limbo getting into the council, and that is Jim Chestnut from St. Lawrence County. So I would like to request that we put him on as a member and not start the process over with the application and all that, since we were just waiting for the formal letter from St. Lawrence County so that we can fill that seat unless somebody has a opposition to that.
Need a motion? I make the motion.
Second.
So we have a motion from Ron Smith and a second from Bob McKenzie to add Jim Chestnut as a St. Lawrence County rep to the REMSCO board. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Welcome aboard. Committee reports. SEMSCO CMET, Mr. Devers.
Okay, we had our state council meeting on May 9th and 10th. It was entertaining at best. The good thing is the critical care tag was the main topic for the most part. And the state council did some changes. Ann Smith sent out the results of that to all the agencies. We basically changed some of the dates, but essentially after January 1st of this year, there will be no longer approval for critical care originals, and refreshers it lags about a year behind. Also, current CCs will, as long as they're in a CME research program, can continue as long as their card doesn't expire. They have to be in a CME program, and the state's going to be working on a bridge course or for a transition from critical care to paramedic. And that will be made available, and you will have a time frame to get into that and to move up, and after that time frame, you will be able to move up again. So, and the major reason why some people wonder about the critical care tag was that the test bank was 1995 vintage, and the curriculum was around that time, and it was going to cost $1.2 million to upgrade everything. And the governor, and a lot of people are in favor of going by national standards, reciprocity issue, and so that's one of the reasons why they're not continuing with the original or refresher classes, pretty much. Also, what was brought up that we had requested $20 million for operating at the state EMS, and we got $15 million. So every year there seems to be a reduction on the amount of money we get from the state of New York, and that creates problems. Lee Burns mentioned there's been no staff replacements, so when someone retires, they don't replace them. A couple other things she brought up was some interesting things, and I think we should be aware about it. We've seen it in our own region. So far this year, 17 agencies have shut down, EMS agencies. Last year, there was a total of 21. A lot of that is deal with poor reimbursement from both Medicare and Medicaid. And we've talked to legislators about that. It's not going to be fixed in this year's budget. Hopefully next year's budget, it's the same thing every year. Well, we'll do it next year and next year. I hope it really creates a burden on all providers.
Jim?
Yes?
How many, now you're talking about the financial side, but what percentage have they looked at, those have been combined into another service because of manpower issues?
And manpower is a big issue.
Manpower is a big issue, but what percentage of those have been rolled into another, just like Krogan in your area is no longer, mostly because of manpower?
I would say probably a good 50% of them. I don't know all that data. I could get it from Dana Jones. A lot of the stuff that went on was last year a consolidation of areas had to deal with the agency in New York City that went out of business unexpectedly. Then where AMR bought out Rural Metro, and they took over their CONs. The only thing that was interesting is 2 townships that ended up getting municipal CONs, and they didn't even want to go into the ambulance business. So sometimes with the ambulance services going out of business due to financial problems, the municipalities got stuck with the ambulance service, and they did not want to do it. So it's something that, from a management standpoint, the ambulance services have to be creative on how they're going to expend stuff, look for alternate ways for revenues to stay afloat, And it's a burden on everybody, because when one agency goes out, another agency takes their area, but it also puts the stress on the agency that takes that over as far as needing additional money, additional manpower, additional equipment. And so it's not an easy fix. So anybody's been in management, I know Riley and I've had to deal with it for many years and days, it's not easy managing an agency with unpredictable resources, whether they're going to go up or go down. I always thought it was like farming. When you got down to the very pit, then they upped the reimbursement, and then when you got going good, they lowered it back down again. And it seems to be a cycle like that if you're in it long enough, like we've been in it. Another thing you should be aware from as far as education, this is for the instructors. You know how the state used to send out your notice like 90 days ahead of time for your renewal, your application for renewal? Well, you're going to have to do that now. You're going to have to get it off the website. You're going to have to print your renewal application, and you're going to have to get a core sponsor to verify it, and you're going to have to send it in. It's another cost-saving move, but you know, if you're an alert instructor, you're going to do that about 6 months ahead of time. And it's something that is just being accountable, I guess. Their look at it. Another thing that they said that they're seeing some trending of improvement at the pass ratio on the CIC. It was pretty low, now it's up around 70%. The CIC's been around 80%. I mean the CLIs. And they're saying you get your instructor cards in about 14 days from the date of the test. So that's encouraging. The community paramedicine, just because it was kind of like partially approved, and then there's another bill out there for community paramedicine is Assembly Bill 02773 and the Senate Bill 05588. They think they got the parties together, hopefully, that they can get it passed through both the Senate and the Assembly. So another thing that is important they're trying to get through is on the is a single payer bill with insurance, so it goes directly. I know whether that becomes a reality or not is another thing. Currently, some of the insurance companies, they pay it to the person with the policy holder, and they don't pay their bill. So it shortchanges the agency that did the service. So they want to make it like anything else, that if you provide the service, the insurance company pay the agency directly. But I don't know how that's coming out. Anybody want any questions or something, feel free to call me. Good night.
Any questions on REMSCO? REMAC.
Request permission from the chair to combine my REMAC program agency report.
Absolutely.
Just so you're aware, narcotic reporting forms have changed. Information was sent to all ALS agencies. They will now require medical director signature and some additional data being requested on the form, so that information was set out so agencies can prepare for that. A follow-up to all the BLS FRs we were doing, they were all completed. The one we have not heard from is Morley Fire Department from the state as to whether they've approved them, so we need to follow up on that. Morley, we assisted them with getting all the paperwork there. Beaver Falls, just an update. The DOH has received their narcotics application. It's currently awaiting approval of the Narcotics Bureau. There's our public access defibrillation that we've received since the last meeting. UMed Inc. and Hopkinton, I put update in there even though they checked off original. They've had a program there. Lowville PD updated theirs, and Nertz and Berkler in Lowville. Regional BLS adjuncts, these were approved at the REMAC meeting. Lewis County Search and Rescue, Herman Fire Department, Madrid Rescue. Once I received their paperwork, they just got it the other day, but it was approved pending receipt of that paperwork. We're still waiting on Waddington Rescue to submit their limited lab from their previously approved BLS blood commetry. They performed inspections on the following entities fly cars, which led me to another thing that we had to update. I did receive a plan of correction on Brownville as they were missing quite a few items if they had ordered them. They are also considering dropping their level of care from paramedic. They'd asked for some information regarding, how that would affect the New York State CME recertification program, etc., for their members, and I did provide them with that information. I've not had a follow-up since then. No new changes on the EPCR front at this time. Natural Bridge is a little farther along in the process, and Star Lake has shown some renewed interest in moving forward with theirs. So hopefully we'll get them online soon. CMEs were due at the end of the month. We had a discussion on that, and they approved for the skills section for the ET to be for paramedics only. That's required under the pediatric section of these skills. Again, previous meeting, we waived the didactic time. So just as a point of clarification, I need to send this out to the agencies. If their level of care, the number of hours it requires, those will be the automatic numbers they will be given. So if they combine it with other CME hours, so say they went to Spring Fling for 10 hours, and they're a critical care provider, they'll be given 10 hours. So for the whole semester, they now have all their hours. If they're a paramedic, they would have automatically got 12 hours for this semester. And then the same for AEMTs, what their requirement is. I think this is probably going to be confusing for people that we waive time for, that historically tend to get all their didactic time in the first semester. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a few minutes. I'm working through this. Trainings, Madrid Fire Department, I did a Narcan training out. Madrid Rescue folks were there as well. Spring Flings later on in the agenda. So the Coverdale Stroke Program that I talked about at the last meeting, this would give funding up to $3,000 for any non-EPCR agency, regardless of their structure, to purchase hardware and or software or whatever their need was to get going with electronic PCRs. It would cover their startup costs, and then they just have to maintain it moving forward. Multiple times I emailed out to 23 agencies. I only received 2 proposals. The timeline was tight. Those proposals were for Waddington and West Potsdam ALSFR, so it will be up to the Department of Health and the Coverdale Stroke Program to decide whether those are awarded or not. I have a meeting in Rochester next week to discuss the regional bridge side of the proposal that was moving forward. So the Check and Inject program, the demo project was complete. Many of us got notification if your agency was in the Check and Inject program. The state put out a policy statement. All this was sent out to you guys. You were copied on the REMAC information. The state said that you can make your own kits using a 1cc syringe, 23 gauge needle, epinephrine, whatever your alcohol, perhaps whatever's needed in that kit. So the discussion at the REMAC was site of injection, because there was an instructor module put out that instructors were to teach IM injection in basic classes starting in June, but the injection site was the deltoid, which differs from the way all the current BLS have been trained in the thigh. So this left me at kind of a loss, and I brought it forth to the REMAC as to what their recommendation was, and their recommendation was the thigh. So we'll get that information out there. The other issue that came along with this is if they're using a standard 1cc syringe, they were not trained on drawing up in a standard 1cc syringe. The other syringes identified adult and pediatric, A and a P. So you either drew an adult dose or pediatric dose. That would constitute additional training. So I asked what the pleasure was And actually, the decision was to buy a bunch of those special syringes, and that we would supply the A&P syringes for agencies who were going to make their own kits. Those having the syringes already obviously can use what they have. And part of that is the instruction cards, which I would recommend if you have the check and inject kits and then you move to something else, that you continue to use those instruction cards for them. So we will be purchasing those syringes for them instead. That is being discussed later. So the STEMI program, the update on that. Jonathan's been working very hard. We've ordered the remaining equipment. We've set up a multitude of folks with their equipment. We're working, there's a list of them up there. We distributed them to Governor and Lyons Falls, and Ogdensburg got theirs tonight. So we'll be making arrangements with the other agencies. Jonathan's been working on getting them done. We also did a simplified algorithm that is just kind of a guidance document that we can get laminated and put up in the ambulances, so we can hopefully get a use out of this before the grant ends this year. Remember, the purpose of these was STEMI, but there's certainly other uses for them as well. That's the end of the slideshow. So what else did we talk about? The minimum equipment list that was sent out to you was approved by the REMAC. The starred items will be required that fly cars would have them as well. That was an oversight when we did the minimum equipment list. There was a large discussion on CME evaluators, and the decision was that we would put the onus on the agencies, and agencies would now be approved that had the available folks to do the CMEs and the equipment. We would add a line to the current CME sheet for folks to identify, and this will start next semester, not this semester. We'll add a line to the current CME sheet where people could identify the agency and where they had their CMEs done. There'll be an attestation sheet made for these agencies, attesting to the fact that they are going to pre-schedule them, so they'll be scheduled out there for providers to be able to see and get to an agency that is doing this. And we are going to look at some possible getting some equipment for these agencies to help them out if there's leftover monies at the end of the year. Specifically, equipment that will help them do CMEs. And the agency should use sign-in and sign-out sheets. Did I miss anything on that? All right. We did throw up the draft schedule, and the REMAC said that it was okay with them if we decide to approve it later in the meeting. There's a discussion on diversion, and the CQI screens, which were part of a policy statement that I believe was also sent out to you. We are going to move forward with at least getting the numbers on those, and we're going to add STEMI, needle crike, or surgical airway, sorry, not crike. And what was the third one? There was one more? You had it written down in your paper. Diversion. So we'll start trying to pull together some data. What did I miss? Good for me.
Any questions for Ann on the program agency or the REMAC? Moving on, executive committee. For those of you that were at Spring Fling and you heard Lee Burns talk about a amount of closures, and was talking about at State Council again. I've asked Ann to join me, and I'm starting with Jefferson County next week. I'm going to meet with all 3 counties with the head of the EMS places, and we're going to look at each agency by agency, and try to color code them. Red is we're concerned within a year about their sustainability. Yellow would be 2 to 5, and green would be we don't see anything. And then come back after we do all 3 counties, try to highlight a map, and then we can determine how do we take the next step forward to help these agencies. As Lee mentioned when she did this presentation, they try to talk to supervisors or town people, and they're told by those agencies, oh, we're good, everything's good, and then the wheels fall off the bus the next week. So we've got to try to figure out what's the best way without offending people, but trying to get them to sit down and let us help them. So I really hope we don't need a lot of red markers to do the map for the 3 counties. So we'll see where that comes at. So I'm starting with Jefferson County next week. We're going to sit down and look at that and see what we come up with and fine tune it. And then Bob, I'll reach out to you. And then Jim, I'll reach out to you, and we'll sit down, and again, we're going to go agency by agency. And then as a council, this is part of what we're charged with under law, is we need to figure out what to do to make sure people are getting ambulances. So I figure this is the first step in that process. So any input anybody has, please be sure to share with me so we can take a look at that. Training and ed.
Training and education met 6, and we discussed 2 co-sponsorship renewals that are Jefferson County EMSs and Jefferson Community Colleges. And we're bringing forward 1 motion, and I'll read that motion at this time. We're bringing forward a seconded motion to approve Jefferson County EMS core sponsorship and specialty core sponsorship renewals as applications are complete.
So we have a seconded motion from the training and ed to approve Jefferson County EMS's core sponsorship. So that means that the committee has gotten all the paperwork. Debbie and the committee have gone through it and made sure everything that's supposed to be there was there, and had any corrections made that needed to be done, and all that is all set, so it just needs a signature to send on to the state. Any questions? Did you say in there that you were dropping the...
Yeah, I might want to tell you that. That's a good thing. Jefferson County EMS has been an ALS core sponsor. We are giving up our ALS core sponsorship, and we're just going to be a BLS core sponsor. So we'll be just, from now on, doing CFR and EMT. And then we are also a specialty core sponsor.
Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Okay.
The Training and Education Committee did review Jefferson Community College's core sponsorship renewal, and Jefferson Community College wants to expand their core sponsorship into St. Lawrence and Lewis counties. And upon discussion, we decided not to bring forward a motion at this time because the 2 entities, Jefferson Community College and SUNY Canton, have to get together and work out some concerns on how this will go, and I need to get clarification from the state what we do to do an impact statement, or to see how it affects the other surrounding core sponsors, as far as is it going to be a burden to them, is it going to be a loss of revenue. We have not had time to get all of that together, so that's why at this time we could not bring the sponsorship forward as a motion, but we will be getting everything that we need to get within the next few days.
Debbie might also point out that it's going to affect Jefferson County EMS because they do basic classes in Lewis County.
Yeah, we're
so
just
we have to do an impact study on
Yeah,
that.
when a core sponsorship goes into other counties, they can, even though they may go in for ALS, let's say to do a paramedic program, whatever, they automatically can teach every course from CFR all the way through paramedic. So we have to talk about the impact on the surrounding course sponsors. I'm not sure exactly how that works, but I need to get with the state on that and see the process.
How long is that gonna take?
Hopefully not very long, but I don't
Because
know.
Lewis County doesn't have any paramedic classes or advanced course sponsorships at all. And Search and Rescue is supporting JCC's expansion. And we don't have any ALS training in that county.
Right.
So I think this is kind of a roadblock because people are worried about it infringing on other people. We gotta do
Well,
it
your
fast for the
AET
providers.
class isn't supposed to start till January. right?
Correct, I just don't want to see this prolonged.
Well, we don't want it prolonged either, but your course is,
Not prolonged.
no, your course isn't starting till January. That should be all worked out well before January.
So what I'd like to recommend is, once they get this stuff put together and we know what route we're going, that I could send out a survey monkey for you to vote on it, so that we don't need to wait until the next meeting, if that is acceptable to everybody. We'll make sure we put all the details in there so you have all the pertinent information on how things are going or whatever. But my take on this is we just need to sit down with JCC and Canton and work out a gentleman's agreement and
Canton doesn't do paramedic, right?
Correct,
No.
so it shouldn't affect paramedics.
Correct.
right.
Deb, the only question I have
Yep.
is, by working with SUNY Canton, are they going to do, like, on-site stuff for people in St. Lawrence County?
For the paramedic, you mean? That's what JCC and SUNY Canton will be discussing and working on. But again, what this allows is that course sponsorship to come in and teach any level. So we need to know the impact if SUNY Canton wants to teach A&T classes and they have the means and the ways to do that and the instructors, then we need to work out, is SUNY Canton going to be doing them? Or because JCC has a course sponsorship, can they just start doing A&T courses there?
I mean, that part really doesn't concern me, because I
But
can't see people
it's all
from-
embodied into
I understand. I can't see people from St. Lawrence that just want to take A&P to go up there. Actually, I'm more concerned with making sure that we have the paramedic available to people in St. Lawrence. Okay, thank you.
And just so you know that in order for JCC to do distributive learning, i.e. distance learning for the paramedic program, they need to be able to do that they need that approval for St. Lawrence County. And with the critical care no longer being there, I believe it's something that we truly need.
Right, and we're not saying it isn't, but JCC and SUNY Canton needs to get together and work out an agreement.
And we don't want this to get delayed either. So, we'll stay on top of this. And it happens that we're going to be seeing John tomorrow, so we're going to be able to sit down with John Morrissey and find out what exactly we need to do, and we'll make that happen.
We've done impact studies before in this region with no delay, just letting people know, just making them aware.
That was the only thing I was gonna add to it, is if there is a roadblock, if you will, or a stumbling block, as long as we can just keep the committee informed, so that we're not just kind of hanging out there and waiting for a survey monkey that may not come from.
Understood, yeah, I see what you're saying, yep.
Yeah.
It just,
Yeah,
just kind of keep us in the
We
loop.
could,
so we
in
can
fact,
move
what I can
forward.
do is send an email after we meet with John tomorrow to the REMSCO, so that you know what he says and what we have to do.
Because I haven't been the same told as Justin, I echo that, very much. We need it sooner rather than later. And we're really great that things are working out, but, just be in that position.
But your course starts at January, so I'm really not even worried about that.
Debbie, when does the endorsement need to be into the state? What was the,
June 3rd.
so we're gonna have it done by then?
It depends,
We
gotta
won't
see.
know anything until we talk to John tomorrow to see what the process is and to allow Jefferson Community College and SUNY Canton to be able to discuss and have an agreement on the rest of the courses. We all want to see paramedic there, we all want to see ALS, so that has nothing to do with it, it's just for them to be able to sit and see the impact.
Both Janine and I agreed to bring this forward to the people on our campuses
Yes.
that need to address it right away, starting tomorrow, so we'll work on it real quick.
That's the end of my report.
Any questions? I'll send out an email after tomorrow, just so that you know what we find out the process is and has to happen, so. CON committee, Ron.
Yeah, I've got a couple things. First, you requested a bunch of information from Karen on how the CON committee operates. I got that. So, and also a letter to go with it that explains how we as a CON committee operate in this region. There was several pages, as I recall, that was forwarded. It's that time of year that we renew our price structure for CONs. Put it out to the committee with a suggestion, and everybody's gone along with it, so there's a couple changes here. Full CON for one county. It used to be for all 3 counties, now it's for one county, would be $6,500. For each additional county would be $500 more to cover the postage, the certified mailings. So a 3-county application would jump from a $6,500 to a $7,500 application. Transfer of CON is still $1,000. Clarification of territory is still $1,000. This comes as the second most, I believe, from the committee.
Questions for Ron on the rates that the CON committee has proposed?
Have we ran out of money processing these?
No, but we've only been doing one county CONs for the most part.
Have we even come close to running out of money on
Do we want to run out of money?
I mean, I just did a C1 application and paid $6,500 and got
It wouldn't
$3,800
affect
of
you.
it back. I know, I'm just saying, like,
No, we didn't run out of money.
there's,
But we've had
3,800
situations where we did run out of money.
Was it because there were more counties or because they were appealed?
They were appealed, but that was before the appeal. The appeal didn't cost them any money. We have to absorb the cost of the appeal. No, there was a lot of expenses that didn't get taken care of in the initial fee.
Not since I.
So you're talking
And this is a deposit. They get back what they not used.
So you're raising it, what, how much total, what's the cost right now? I forgot.
6,500. The
And
only
it
difference would
stays.
be per county for the extra, to cover any extra mailing. If they can't afford this, then they had better be putting in an application.
Well, I don't think that's for you to judge, but I think that's a lucrative statement. So if I wanted, let's say, I want to go into Jefferson County, X town, are you gonna charge me $500 because I'm going into another county? Or just for that town?
It would be 6,500.
6,500 and then an extra, so if I want to do, say, I don't know, town
You're
or
what,
something in
St.
Jefferson,
Lawrence?
something down St. Lawrence,
Yep.
that'd be $7,500.
No.
Just 'cause it's one
No,
town,
it'd be-
each county.
No, it'd be $7,000. It'd be an extra 500.
And you've never ran out of money before?
Yes, we have.
how long was the last time we ran out of money?
It's been quite a while.
I guess that's what I
It
was
was
looking
it
for.
was a major
Helicopter,
CON.
was it the helicopter one you ran out of money on?
It has not been in the 10 years
Yes,
that I've been
and
here.
I'm the one that got delegated to do the bill collecting, which I wasn't very happy about. And I did collect the money.
Well, the question would be, how many times does somebody do more than one county CON?
Right.
You know, and again, if someone's doing a more than one county CON, then there's gonna be extra costs because now you have to go to other people to do your mailings. So Yeah. As far as I'm concerned, this makes a lot of sense. If you're not doing an out-of-county CON, it makes no difference at all.
I think it needs a little clarification though,
Correct.
because I think what Justin's point was, and I'm just saying this from the side that's gonna have to tell the agencies and be able to bill and do all that stuff, because we do the mailings. So what we need is a full county, or any area within a county needs to be clarified. So for example, I'm just gonna go back and use Lewis County Search and Rescue. They applied for a CON for the whole county, okay, $6,500.
Right.
Now, he also applies for a little bit in Jefferson County with that CON, and a little bit in St. Lawrence County. Is that another 500 each county?
Yeah.
Because there's a small area,
Yep.
or are you talking a full county?
No.
Okay, that's all I want clarification on.
You need to clarify that then. That needs to be spelled out specifically like that. Because when you say county, I'm thinking, okay, now I got
Whole
to apply
county.
for the whole county.
No.
Right, that's all I'm saying, so, you know,
But
if
you're,
he
as soon
applied
as you
for
move
it
into another county, you've got a bigger mailing area that you've got to cover.
I understand that, it's gotta be clarified so agencies understand.
It needs to be written specifically.
Because when you say per county, it needs to say per county with any area applied for within or something. Does that make sense? Right, because people don't,
I understand what you're saying.
if you're
I
an
understand
agency on the
any
border,
county or part thereof.
right, if you're an agency on the border, it would make perfect sense that you may be applying for areas in 2 different
I agree.
counties within your standard operating area.
I agree. So do you want me to sit on this in our September meeting and bring it back, or do you want to vote it now?
I have no vote, I'm just saying it needs to be clarified.
I just think, Ron may have put it funny, but in the emails, all of us on the committee, it was pretty cut and dry. If you put in just for your regular CON, it's $6,500. There is no change at all to the cost. Should you add another county to that, any portion of that county, there'll be an extra $500 just to cover us for the additional cost of mailings. Same thing would happen, everything gets returned, anything that is not used. So there's no change in any of that. The whole idea is just to cover our costs. All 4 on the committee approved.
I understand, but my regular CON may be in 2 counties. I'm sorry.
That's fine, then it'd only be $7,000.
Well,
It would be an extra
You didn't have
$500
to
just
cover
to
the
cover the
agencies
mail.
here.
I understand that, but they get whatever's left back. I don't understand why that's an issue.
As long as it's clarified, like he just said it, I get that. But when you say county, I'm thinking you're talking a whole county. And there's gonna be a lot of people out there that are gonna interpret that way. Been through the CON process, it's kind of cumbersome at times.
And I need to ensure that I'm explaining it appropriately, because I'm the one that they look to explain that, so I have to understand.
That I agree.
I don't have a vote in the matter, and I don't care either way, I just want to understand it.
In the name of moving this forward, let me try to make a motion that might cover this. And then you can shoot it down if you so choose, which is okay, I don't mind. I make the motion that a full CON for 1 county will be $6,500. For any part of a second county would be an additional $500. Any part or all of a third county would be, excuse me, I said, yeah, $500. And any part of a third county or a third county would be $500 extra. Transfer of CON would be $1,000, clarification of territory would be $1,000. Did that clarify it?
So we have a motion, because it's different than what came from the nominating committee. Do we have a second on that?
Second.
Well, the way he presented it.
So, okay, yeah, nothing has changed.
No, nothing has changed from the presentation, the way the motion was. Okay, hand vote, all those in favor? Close.
My hand talks.
Opposed? Abstentions? So carried.
I think that does it for my CON committee.
And the information that you forwarded to me, I did forward on to Karen Patio, so
Okay.
we're just waiting to hear back from her.
Probably should forward this price thing because there's a little change in case there's something somewhere in the law that says something different than what we can do.
Okay.
Okay? Being we're going through that, might as well.
Pardon me? Yes. Okay, bylaw committee, folks, you should have gotten, Mark was going around giving you a copy of the bylaws and asked you to sign. Is anybody here that didn't get it that needs it? Everybody got it?
Nope.
Got
One
it.
person. Where you go, Scott?
Second thing, what was included in with your information for the meeting, the bylaw committee put together an application for membership, a recommendation form, and a draft of the membership vacancy that would go for the ad in the paper. So we need to discuss those. We'll start with the application for membership. That comes as a seconded motion. Is there any questions or concerns on the application for membership? Oh, it's thinking still?
They were sent out, right?
Yes, they
They
were.
were sent out, so.
Any questions on the application for membership? Comes as a seconded motion from the bylaw committee. All in favor of accepting the application for membership form, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Next is the recommendation form. Any questions on the recommendation form? All those in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? And the third is the membership vacancy. This was a template to use to put the ad in the paper, so that this would all be set for the membership committee. Any questions on that? Because now we have an opening in Jefferson County with Mary resigning, so we can try our process here and see how it works. All those in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Thank you. Huh?
Good try. Quite get there.
Committee report that I didn't put on there, that I should have, was the nominating committee. Raleigh, any luck with a treasurer?
No, not at this time. But we just discussed the audit committee, the forum. Do you think they'll proceed with that?
I have the committees all set, so we'll be going over that under new business. I sent out the survey monkey to folks to indicate, and even though you didn't put the auditing as your choice, welcome aboard, Mr. Chair.
Now, we still have the treasurer position that is open. And really, according to bylaw, well, our nonprofit status, we have a treasurer. And given that now we have ways and means to do it, a check system with the audit committee, then I do think we still have that treasurer position. It's not a huge amount of responsibility now, but I do think we need someone to step up to the plate and take that on.
I'm not sure how much time Dave Allen is going to spend up here versus Pennsylvania and going back and forth, and we really do need somebody that is in the area that can do that. He was gracious enough to keep it for a period, but we need to make sure that we have somebody that can do that.
I have a lot more on my plate than I ever have. And if I thought I could take the task on, I would do so. But I think now as chair as the audit committee, that would be another burden I would not assume. So I still think the offer should go out there to anybody to head up that committee and take on the treasurer position, and the other committee members could also assist in the task.
The bylaws state that the auditing committee cannot be executive committee, so that's why it has to be non-executive committee on the auditing. is the way we had worded that, so, please think about it, if somebody could, assist us with that, that would be greatly appreciated. County reports, Jefferson.
My report's going to be short. Jefferson County EMS is, we finished up all our classes for the spring semester. We do have the EMT refresher we'll be testing in July, and the EMT class will be testing this month. The position, Charlie's position, is still open. And classes are all set for the fall. I covered that last time. And we're going to assist the REMSCO and the REMAC and any ways that they need. That's the end of my report.
Questions on Jefferson? St. Lawrence, Carol or Jim, whoever might want to give a report here.
Mine is also very short. Unfortunately, I didn't take notes in our meeting. Our bylaw committees were all formed in May, so they'll be begun to report each month, or each meeting that we have. The legislature did approve the executive committee change for only officers to sit on board for legislative, for the executives. We also did a lot of discussions on CC changes and agency problems. For the most part, there was an ACLS course in Norfolk, and I'm not sure if that's gone through yet or not. But they were offering an ACLS course. And that's about it for us.
Jim, anything you'd like to add?
Not really. It was a short meeting, so.
Questions for St. Lawrence County? Moving on to with Lewis County.
Not much on our end either. Our EMS status checks that we enacted a few months ago is working. It's working well. It's going to be brought up at the next EMS council because our 6-month trial is done, so we're going to decide if it stays or go. I really have a hunch it's going to stay. We attempted to get the scratch rate data. That needs a lot of refinement. The data we got from our dispatch center, while it was good, it was not totally accurate because we do know that was problems. So we're going to have to refine that a little better. We did go with a auto launch policy within our county that was approved for certain EMS calls. That's going to be a tremendous undertaking, and what appears to be, easy from the get-go is a lot of cumbersome work because all of the EMD codes have to be touched, and all of that's got to go forward. So we will get there, but it's definitely going to be a large undertaking. I believe when I was absent for the last report, Mark did the report for Lewis County. The opioid problem in our county is still growing. We are working together as a county to try to educate each other and the public in general. It's to the point now where all agencies in the county have been affected by it. So it's not going away just because we're a rural county. So
You need to have what was that called in St. Lawrence County? That big drug sweep?
Operation Gravy Train.
You need to have an Operation Gravy Train.
actually, we've had a similar.
So Bob, you are aware that I can help supply Narcan to any first responders.
I am indeed, but thank God it hasn't gotten to that point yet.
And training and all that stuff, so if that's something we need to expand on, then I'd be happy for you to expand on.
That was one of the things that I picked up on when we started going through the scratch rates. We started looking at the opioid and the overdose thing, and it's affected every single agency in our county at this point.
And see, I'm only capturing, I think I captured 7 uses last quarter for you guys.
Yep. I'm going to shake the tree at EMS Council because that's really got to move forward.
So I don't believe we're getting accurate data. hence the reason why my request for the PCRs.
I agree, 100%. It's there.
Because Image Trend showed 7 uses, and any paper PCRs that come in, we're physically tracking those. And then all we're getting out of Image Trend is like 7 uses for Lewis County for the first quarter. But that is a jump from what the 3 that was reported before, so we think we could, but I don't believe that's the extent of the problem.
And it may not be a Narcan usage. Like I said, those are all effective. That could be.
Right. Overdose.
Do you think that a lot of that is because maybe the police agencies are getting there ahead and using?
So
that it kind of skews the call for an overdose.
in some areas, yes, that's the reason why we're looking for those PCRs, to see if it's documented in there, it was given. So for Jefferson County, I provide the Narcan for all the law enforcement, with the exception of state police. So sheriff and city. St. Lawrence County, the sheriff, but not state police. And I don't supply Lewis County's law enforcement, so it could very well be. But they should be reporting into an opioid, or they should be reporting to the Department of Criminal Justice Services. So we're not capturing it, but the state is, but we haven't seen any reports from the state.
The only agencies in Lewis County that are carrying Narcan is Louisville PD and the state police. Lewis County Sheriff's Department does not carry it.
Yeah, so, but we don't get either of the data from either of those. And there are probably some, I get the opioid overdose data, and we do look at that.
I would think that 7 though is pretty accurate, because I know state police is giving Narcan way before we get there. And those 7 are probably maybe a couple from Lions Falls and the rest from search and rescue. So I think 7 is pretty accurate. Because state police and stuff are giving it.
I don't think we're truly identifying the issue in the county, because we don't have the state police data.
Yeah, and the other side of that too is, like I said, all agencies were affected. That could have been a true overdose and not anyone was revived. So.
That's why we're requesting these PCRs that we discussed at REMAX, so we can have some of that knowledge. And
What I think he's saying is they didn't administer Narcan because they were
It was an overdose.
dead.
Or state
yeah.
police did it prior to our arrival. Or
well, we're getting those records from the coroner. We're not, but we can get them from the coroner. At least in Jefferson County, and I'm assuming that if we reached out to Lewis County, we may be able to ask them.
That'd be easy.
How did your snort run go?
Started on well, very well organized, safe year. I believe there was one minor.
Village crew was busy.
What's that? Yes.
But village crew was busy,
They were- The riding went well. We did have, I think it was 4,300. After meeting, it was 4,300.
yeah, 43 and some change.
Yeah, ish riders, but overall it went very well.
When is Modown?
Lowdown is supposed to be the 30th, the 1st, and the 2nd. But I've heard nothing at all, anything further on that from the promoter. I did reach out to John Morrissey, and he said that there will not be a Part 18, so it's not anyone's problem. From a promoter's perspective, I haven't been to any meetings on it. All I know is that that's what I was told, is that it would not be a Part 18, which
4,999.
We'll talk about one.
yeah, it's still a large event, and I think that the weekend that they chose, in fact, there was another concert that was on the same weekend that was canceled as well. We're gonna get more than we bargained for it. But that's another whole issue.
So you haven't been informed that there is going to be EMS coverage?
The doctor had reached out to me directly.
Joe Markham?
Yep. But as far as the county side of things,
Right.
as far as like having to do an instant action report, et cetera. That's in place, but we need to update it, and we also should, the promoter should be bringing this to the table and talk about it.
He's a good guy.
Yeah.
From years past.
Yep.
Anything else for Lewis County?
Nope, that's it.
Old business, advanced airway training, just waiting for to get our tax form for last year. We have to answer some questions on what percentage of our budget was attributed to training, how much did we take in, and all this stuff. So John Purcell has all that, so I'm hoping to get those last, I think there's like 3 questions I need to get answered. But we're going to get that training set up. Spring Fling.
Yep.
Thank you for everybody that helped.
Yes, thank you very much.
We did do the survey, and we have the survey responses, broke it out by region. So Ann has forwarded to Central New York and to Monroe Livingston all of their results. So what we're sharing with you is just the ones for our region. So the people that took the survey, we had 3 CFRs, 52 EMTs, and 6 critical care techs. Primary agency was volunteer fire ambulance with 30. Years as a provider, the biggest one was 1 to 5 with 17 folks. 55 of the 60 participate in the CME program. We had 5 that did not. Current training, the big one was everybody except 1 had their CPR. We asked about if the funding were eliminated, would they be able to pay for their own? 21 said yes, 37 said no, they would not be able to, so they would not be able to participate. 31 people thought it was somewhat true that classes in our region are offered on a regular basis. 27 thought somewhat true that the classes are offered within their county. 20 thought somewhat true that the majority of the training they received is at Spring Fling. 27 thought that somewhat true to obtain their CME hours is easy. 26 felt that we don't have enough instructors.
Neutral.
Neutral
To somewhat false.
Neutral to somewhat false, enough instructors in our region. And 25 thought that we have enough training supplies was neutral. We asked them what classes they'd be interested in attending, and 21 identified the difficult airway course. We had 19 for CPR. We just did a CPR instructor course last year at Spring Fling, but 18 people indicated that, and you can see the breakdown. So we thought we could use this as a starting point for next year's Spring Fling to see what courses we should look at offering. So that is the results for our region on that. Any other input on Spring Fling or questions on Spring Fling? Is there a way to tell how many people have gone in and done their certificates?
Yeah.
Is it going pretty good? Is it people pretty well
I
getting
can
that
pull
done?
that up if you want to hold on. Are you pulling up this one?
Anything else to add on Spring Fling?
No, we appreciate all the help. I think things went well. We didn't have,
Other than that stupid banner and soda.
yeah. This crisis is up. They kept sending us the wrong banner for our vendor. We called the company, they overnight shipped the wrong banner again.
And then I went in my room that night to go to bed, and the wrong banner is on my bed.
After all I got there.
There's been 176 surveys taken,
So,
63%.
So we're at 63% of people getting that. So when they get ready to put the recert hours together, then they're all of a sudden they're gonna say, oh crap, I didn't do my Spring Fling, and they're gonna be trying to get on to do it.
so one of the challenges that we found is now that so many folks' email systems are, their security systems are heightened for phishing emails and spam and spoofing and whatever IT terminology there is out there for this stuff. because this system generates an email from emsscanning.com or whatever it is, some systems picked it up as spam, so they find it in their spam folders. Others, it just wouldn't deliver to it all. I think Mark Devers was one of them. Their securities were so high, so we had a handful that we had to troubleshoot out. And try and get that done, but because it just wouldn't go to their email addresses. And again, people, the chief would register them and register them all under abcems.com, so that all the certificates went to one person, the links, because that was the email address, the agency email address was used for their email. And, they called, and we probably about daily get a call, somebody needs it resent to them. But it's still easier than the old way, so we're okay.
So along those lines, I would like approval to purchase 2 additional barcode scanners. If we would have had 2 more that we could just have dedicated to the lunch meal, we wouldn't have had to take away from scanning when people were leaving the sessions. So 2 additional scanners is a total of $255.90. We have a motion and a second to go ahead and buy 2 additional scanners for $255.90. All those in favor? Oops.
I just got the discussion on that.
Absolutely, I'm sorry.
So they were $295 you said for the 2 additional scanners?
$127.95 each.
I would think that I would like to see that amended to 4 instead of 2, so that we can be programming one set between the rounds so they can swap them out. Does that make sense to everybody? Instead of just having the 4 out there and then bring the 4 back
Would that be easier for you, Jonathan?
to download them?
Didn't really matter, because the download is pretty much instantaneous. And I was reprogramming them and handing them right out the door, because it doesn't take any time to reprogram.
Maybe 4 would be extreme, what about 3 in case one gets dropped and smashed?
We do have one that is a little wonky, so.
Is that a technical term?
Yes, wonky. That's my IT term for the day.
I would amend it to 3 so we can get rid of the wonky one.
That's fine.
It was a hit and miss one.
Yeah.
Sometimes it would work, sometimes it wouldn't. Sometimes it would get funky.
And maybe it was the one that scanned soda cans.
Yeah.
Wow, that was a camera.
Well, maybe we want to do the 4 then.
Yeah.
Why not?
I would re-amend it to the 4 if you want.
I knew if we had it for lunch, it would have just made it would have made people coming out of the rooms easier, so we weren't pulling from there to do the.
With spring clean, it's all about flow. I mean, when they want to leave that room, they want to leave that room. To some people, it doesn't matter. I just want to make sure that everybody gets everything that they deserve the credit for. If they were in that class, then they jolly well deserve to get credit for that class. And I think it should be our responsibility to make sure that they get it.
So we have an amendment to the proposal to buy 4 barcode scanners at $127.95 each.
Second.
And we have a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Very good.
So hopefully by October meeting, we'll have more evaluations in. At some point here over the summer, I will probably send the speakers their evaluations based on what we have. But then we'll have the general event comments. I think the other thing, though, we have to discuss, can you quote that survey and let's find that one question? So I think we really kind of got to discuss this now. One of the concerns for next year was the last weekend in April falls at the end of
Spring break.
which that same thing happened last year. It caused me a little more challenge in finding speakers, but our attendance was actually better last year than it was this year. We asked on that evaluation if it would make a difference. At one point when I looked at them in about 80 evaluations in, 80. Very few said it would make a difference. But
We're
we have to
looking
decide on a date because we have to start the process rolling for next year.
And get the contract signed with. We did have a request to look at Bonnie Castle again, so Ann and I will be going to Bonnie Castle to take a look to see if it is big enough to hold the classes that we have, so we can see if that is an option or not. But it's gotta be accommodating to be able to hold the different classes, so.
When we
Take a look
were
at that.
there and the ALS class was smaller than it is now, it was pretty cramped. So unless they've done major renovation, or they've done, they have another room available, because that one room just wouldn't work.
The other option is, at some point, if anybody goes to other conferences, you don't always have a table to sit at. If it continues to grow, the tables may have to disappear at some point and just go to chairs, which I know people don't necessarily want either, so we need to keep all that in mind. Can you find it, Jonathan?
Yep. So the question was, Spring Fleet is always the last weekend in April. Does this pose a problem for your participation in the conference? And it was 21 people said yes, 147 said no.
I say we leave it, because, that would be my recommendation, because they're kind of set on that day. It's always the last, we've actually already had providers make reservations at Roytown for the last weekend in April.
Leave it there.
Are you good with that?
It really doesn't make any difference what weekend you have. Somebody's going to
Somebody, absolutely.
Spring break, or you want to do that? Because IAC is already in there. That's already a problem.
So is the feeling then to go with the numbers there from the survey and we keep it where it's always been?
Yes.
We good?
That helps us move forward with stuff.
Next thing under old business, we brought up at last month's meeting, the directors and officers liability coverage, and there was some concerns about the cost. So I have shopped it some more, and the best cost that I can come up with is a directors and officers liability with employment practices liability for $828 annually for a $1 million limit and a $1,000 deductible. That is the best that I have been able to find on that.
Who's the web out of curiosity?
I don't even know. I had McElveen and Brown search it, and I had 2 other insurance companies, and they all came back. I said I didn't care who it was with, but just give us the rates, and that was the best coverage at the best price. And they feel that we do need to have the employment practices liability, even though we have volunteers, because there have been claims, and we need to make sure we can cover those costs.
I will make the motion that you buy that insurance. It's up to the rest to discuss it.
So we have a motion on the floor to buy directors and officers liability for $828 annually for a $1 million limit and a $1,000 deductible. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second. Discussion?
Does that cover in case there's embezzlement or?
Yes. Yep. Any discussion?
Do we need to have a price range? Should that price move how our insurance moves?
I guess we could probably put it, every year when it comes up, we'll bring it back here to do that.
Yeah, spring renewal back at whatever cost it is.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Any other old business? Any other old business? Going on to new business. The draft of the REMSCO schedule. We originally were scheduled to meet on Monday, September 18th, and I was recommending we move it to October 2nd, so that we have state council is between the 18th and the 2nd, so that we can bring back the state council. The same with the February meeting. We meet in January for state council, and my thought was, with as much stuff that's been going on at state council and the information, that it's important that we share that with you, and not wanting to wait from September until we meet again in February to go over that, or January. So that was why I was making those recommendations to move those, so that we could tie out with state council meetings and give you accurate and up-to-date information. Questions? Somebody want to make that a motion?
Motion.
Second. Justin made it a motion. I believe that said Dave.
Yes.
Dave seconded that. Any further discussion?
I'm looking at the, never mind. Okay.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Carried. I had under there the critical care status, but I think Jim had pretty much reviewed that when he gave the state council report. Oh, yeah.
We did put a survey out to the agencies just to identify any that needed assistance, or, that were, to find out if they were all in the continuing medical education program. And at this point, we've only identified 3 agencies who are not in the CME program who have critical care techs. And I have a meeting with them already to provide them, they don't understand the program, so to provide them with some education and information. So, but just wanted to let you know that there was 29 that were sent out. I got 21 or 22 of them back.
So if you know agencies that are not in the research program and they utilize critical care, it's imperative that we get them set up and get them in the research program, and that they understand what's involved in it. We're willing to share with them all the stuff we have and get them set up, but if they come lagging to us, the day after, and they no longer can get in the course, they're going to be SOL. So we want to try to make sure that we can get them where we need to. So, next thing was the committees. I sent out SurveyMonkey. Heard back from 24 people. So there's some names probably that aren't on here because I didn't hear from some people. So I've got to go through with an updated list and see who's missing so we can get that on committees. But per the bylaws that you approved at the April meeting, everybody needs to be on at least one committee and help us with things. I tried to give people their first, second, or third choice, but the ones at the end kind of got put on different things because those committees were full. So I really strive to put one person from each county on each committee. So my next step is working with Jonathan and on our website, getting a tab for each committee with who's on it and how to contact them, and try to get detailed processes put together on what needs to happen so that we can make sure that these are effective committees and that we're getting things taken care of. So if you were put somewhere and you really have heartburn over it, please talk to me separate and we'll see what we can do. But my hope would be that we would rotate people so that everybody would have a better understanding and knowledge of how the system works, so that we'd have a better running operation. So I'll be reaching out to people on each committee to set up a meeting to get things going, provide you, I have a conference call number that you can use to call in. You don't need to get together to have meetings. You can do a conference call, you can do an email or whatever, but we just want to make sure that what needs to get taken care of is getting taken care of. So
we also have access to do GoToMeeting, whereas if you just contact me, I can set up the meeting, and then if you wanted to show your computer screen, I can switch the presenter over to you, so I just have to get the meeting started for you, but we do have that capability. There's a limit on how many, we can only have one person that starts it, so you'll have to contact me. But after it's started, then you can change the presenter view over, and there's a limit, you can have up to 25 people in one meeting. That's the limit on the plan that we have. And that's available for use. And either myself or Jonathan, either one can start that.
Anything else under new business?
New business?
New business.
Yes. I think we should do a plaque for Mary. She joined the council, I think, in the mid-80s. She's been here a long time.
It was on my list to go with the executive committee, but I think anybody that, serves more than, 5, 6, 7, whatever number we want to cite, 10 years should be recognized.
She's been here a long time. She wasn't, well, I guess I'm the only one left. The very beginning. Jim is very close to.
I was a year behind you.
Yeah. But Mary came on board, I think, about 5 years after it was formed. Am I right, Jim?
Yeah, about that.
She wasn't here from day one, but she's been here a long, long time. And had a lot of valuable input. Do you need that in motion or?
I don't.
do it?
Any other new business? Any other new business?
Motion to adjourn.
Have a great rest of the summer. Hopefully it'll stop raining, and we will see everybody in October.
Maybe the ladies in Berkeley will read a little bit, so,
Hey, this is troublemaker, right there.
that out there.
Thank you, Larry.
I think it was recording all right.
Okay, I'll find out.
That's the first time I've seen anything other than the red flash though on the audio.
I checked it earlier and it's working.
Okay. Probably should shut off the record.
Oh, yeah.